Shalom. Here we are once again in another session of the Jewish people coming home. Today we will study the book of Joshua, chapter 2. We will read the verses, hear the story of the spies sent by Joshua coming to the house of Rachav, a Canaanite prostitute, and bringing back a message to Joshua. We will read the verses. We will then question a few basic questions and try to understand what the book of Joshua is trying to teach us in Joshua chapter 2. Vayishlach Yehoshua ben Nun min hashitim shnayim meraglim cheresh lemor. Joshua sends two spies quietly. L'chu re'u et haaretz ve'et Yericho. He sends them to explore the area of Jericho. Vayelchu ve'yavo beit isha zona u'shma Rachav ishkvu sham. And they come to the house of this prostitute whose name is Rachav, and they stay there. Immediately the intelligence of the Jericho king finds out that they came, and the knowledge of their existence in Jericho is brought to the attention of the king, and he immediately sends out to search them. He sends to the house of Rachav, Vayishlach melech Yericho Rachav lemor, Hotzi ha'anashim habayim elayach asher ba'u leveitech, ki lachpor et kol ha'aretz ba'u. He sends them into the house of Rachav, and he says, bring out those spies that are in your house. But she, meanwhile, had hid them. Yeah, there were guys that came, I didn't know where they come from. And the gate time comes at night, and the gates were closed, and they ran away. I don't know where they went, I don't know where they're from. Run them fast, chase them, and you'll catch them. But actually, she brought them up to the roof of her house. She hid them in these pieces of wood that were on her roof. And the messengers of the king ran after chased them, looked for them, searched them. Of course, they didn't find them. But she goes up to talk to them. She goes up to the roof, and she tells them, I know, Yadati, ki natana Adonai lachem et haaretz. I'm reading in verse 9. I know that God has given you the land. V'chi nafla imatchem al aleinu. V'chi namogu kol yoshvei haaretz mipneichem. He says, we are all filled with fear. As fear has fallen upon us, all the residents of the land, their hearts are melted away. Kishamanu, because we heard what happened when your God dried up the waters of the Red Sea, when you left Egypt, and what you did to the two kingdoms of the eastern side of the Jordan River. And we heard, and our heart melted. But please, I'm asking you for requesting. Please swear to me, since I saved you, and since I know that your God is the God of the heaven and the God of the earth, please save my family, my parents, my brothers and sisters. And they promise her. They promise, yes, we will save your family when we come. Meanwhile, she tells them to run to a different direction, so that the people who were sent by the king who were chasing them, the pursuers, till they come back. Meanwhile, she hangs a red rope on the window which she had lowered them down. And they say to her, don't forget, we will promise to save anybody in your family, but they all have to be in your house. They run away and they hide in the mountains, and they finally return to Joshua, and they tell him all that has happened. Vayavo el Yehoshua ben Nun, vayisapru lo et kol hamotzot otam. Vayomru el Yehoshua, ki natan Adonai biyadenu et kol haaretz, v'gam namogu kol yeshvei haaretz mipanenu. Don't worry, God has given us the land. The people there are filled with fear. All the inhabitants have melted away because of us. This is the story. Very well-known story. What a few questions arise when we read the story here. First of all, was it right on Joshua's side to send spies? Joshua himself was a spy of 12 sent by Moses 40 years ago. And this mission caused the people of Israel to be stuck in the desert for another 40 years. The second question that arises is, was this mission a success or a failure? The spies were caught almost immediately. They spent the night at the house of a prostitute. And they didn't get to see too much. I would say the most they could have seen is the shoelaces of the shoes of the soldiers who were looking for them. They immediately were put up in the roof. They hid among the woods there, let down from the window, and ran back home, hiding, fearfully hiding. It's interesting that they said, the people of Canaan, their heart is melting away. It seems like the people who were melting away with these two spies hiding in the mountains for 3 days. So was this a success or a failure? Of course, we also have to understand the characteristics of this lady Rachav, of all people. Why did the spies choose to go to her house? Why did the spies, what did we learn? And why does the Tanakh, why does the book give such much space for the characteristic of Rachav? She's the main hero of this chapter. She ran the whole thing. She sent the pursuers of the king to run the one way. She told the people. She could have easily been the hero of the city if she would have told the king where these people are hiding. And I believe that one more question we should ask. Joshua got a promise in chapter 1 that God will be with him. Everything he does, he will succeed. Don't worry. Don't be fearful. Don't be afraid of anything. God is with you. So why does he need to send spies? It's quite obvious. As we said in the first lesson, Joshua is leading the people of Israel into the land of Israel. The people are coming back home, and coming to your own land and living a natural life is different than a life in the desert. Yes, God promised Joshua that he will be with him every single step. But this does not mean that Joshua has to sit passively and wait for miracles to come from heaven. Joshua coming to the land, the people of Israel have to behave like a normal people. They have to prepare themselves like a normal army. Yes, they have to send spies. Though, they learned from the first case, the 12 spies, Joshua sends 2. He sends them quietly, anonymously. Those 12 spies that were sent by Moses were all 12 leaders. They were more less than spies. They were more a delegation. Can you imagine these 12 leaders climbing down from a window of a house? These people wouldn't, they would, watch out, don't step on me. These were a delegation. These were the leaders. These were not spies. Joshua sent these people quietly. Nobody in the nation knew anything about them. They went, sent by Joshua. They returned to Joshua. As it says in verse 23, "Vayashuvu shnei anashim, vayavohu el Yehoshua ben Nun." They came to Joshua. He had sent them. He was to get the message. If the spies sent by Moses would have come back to the tent of Moses, and whatever they said to the people, they would not have said to the whole people. They would have told only Moses, the story would be a totally different story. This is the very beginning of the idea. Joshua had to send these spies because a normal people who has established a normal army uses spies to look at and what's ahead of them. That's one point. But the other side of the story is that once a person is involved in active behavior, once a person initiates and is very active in helping the procedure go ahead, once a person is involved, is too involved, he gets the feeling that it's all in his hands. He promoted everything. He established the whole thing. It's his success. This is what these spies had to study. They chose to go to the house of the prostitute for a very simple reason. This is the place where, on the one hand, they have no reason, they don't have to identify themselves, nobody's asking them where they're from, nobody's going to ask them who they are, that's one thing. On the other hand, many people come to this lady. She has the information. She feels the pulse of the people. She knows what the feeling is. Yes, they were there afraid, hiding, but that's only in the present. When they saw the king immediately sending out pursuers to look for them, this means that the people there in Jericho are really very intense. They're very frightening about what's going to be. But they had to understand, and this was the lesson that the chapter 2 of Joshua was teaching us. On the one hand, yes, you have to prepare spies. You have to send spies, because this is the way a natural nation behaves. On the other hand, God played a game with these spies. Even for the very ironic story that they told her, bring all your family into your house, as if the house that's in the wall of the city is the safest house. We all know what's going to happen to the walls of Jericho. But God wanted to teach these people a very simple message. Yes, you are supposed to be spies. But on the other hand, don't forget, God can save you no matter what. Even through a Canaanite prostitute. She can teach you that God is the God of the heaven and the earth. Yes, you are in the hands of God. Your success in the capturing of the land, you have to behave naturally. But whether you will succeed or not is in the hands of God. These people could have been caught within a second. They could have been caught hiding in the mountains. She could have given them over to the king. All of this didn't happen, because God chose not to happen. God wanted them to succeed. So the fact that they sent spies is not against the promise of God. It is the new establishment of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. They are to behave naturally, like a natural nation. But they are to remember that the bread coming from the ground comes from the same source as bread coming from heaven. Miracles that look like like magic are no greater than natural miracles, are no greater than the fact that the sun is shining and the moon, the sun sets in the evening and the moon is there in the night, and that we can breathe fresh air, and that we can achieve victory over the Canaanite nation. This is the message that chapter 2 of Joshua teaches us. Yes, we remember chapter 1. God has promised Joshua he will be in there. He will be with him throughout the entire way. No, don't be fearful. Go ahead. Run ahead. But don't forget, you are in the hands of God. Shalom.